one.
Being broadcast through YouTube, and I have to go live.
Yeah, but I noticed you stopped the chat when I brought.
I stopped chat.
Yeah, that's good because that guy was annoying.
Ah, yeah. Okay, we're going to learn the Sikha. We've learned the Sikha before. It's a Sikha on Chanukah. Zos Chanukah from the year 1950-53. Let me share the Sikha. Second here. Why can't I find it?
So same topic, different year?
Same topic, different year, but not sure why it's not up. Hold on. Looks like I closed it. Here we go. Okay. Just give me a second here. Okay, we're going to where is it? There we go. Here we go. Okay, so we're learning the Sikha of Chanukah from Tafshin Yud Gimel, 1952. We're going to start off in the beginning. We're going to skip around. Okay, Chanukah, the holiday of Chanukah, the Rebbe says, is Shayach le Chanukah Mizbeach, to the dedication of the Mizbeach, of the altar, which is because it was desecrated by the Greeks. And also connected to the idea of the lighting of the candles. Therefore, we read on Chanukah, because it's connected to the rededication of the temple after it was made impure by the Greeks. We read about the dedication of the tabernacle by the princes, how they dedicated the altar the first time in the desert. And we finish off with Chabad. The minig is we read all the way through Bahaloischa to read about the laws and God speaking to Aaron about the lighting of the menorah. Ner, what is the idea of a ner? What is a lamp? In Yoni Or, the idea of a lamp is to give off light. The Or and light, Kashrim Inyan Ava, light is love. As the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, what it says in Sfarim, Shavihafta, the word Vihafta is the letter value, is the number value of Gematria base Pamimar, 2 times light. To love God, Vihafta means you should love God, is the number value of 2 times light. What does that mean? So the Rebbe says, V'zui Avedase Shel Aharon. This is the service of the high priest Aaron. He has to elevate the lamps. So if 2 times light is the number value of love, Aaron, who lights the menorah, his idea is to give the Jewish people love. We know there's different leaders that give different things. Aaron's thing is to give the Jewish people love. And therefore we find, because Aaron's the way he was the shepherd of love. So because he was the shepherd of love, we find that Aaron, in the way he was as high priest in the temple, in the desert, was he loved peace, he pursued peace, and he loved all kind. As Tanya explains, that what does it mean that he loved brios, the creations? The Kai al Eila, he's referring to these type of people, that the only quality you could say about them is that they're God's creation. There's some people you could say that their quality is they've made themselves into something. Some people, the only thing good that you could say about them is God created them, and nevertheless He pursued and loved them and gave them. The only thing unique we could find about certain people is they are creations by God. Adam is super begamar, as it tells the Talmud tells us a story. There was a Talmudic scholar in the times of the Mishnah. He found a person that the Talmud says he looked very disgusting. She said, look at this empty, disgusting person. Seemingly, the rabbi says something like this about a person is inappropriate at best. The person responded back when he said, look at this disgusting, empty person. He says, why are you complaining to me? Go to the person who made me. Meaning, seemingly, the story says is that it was an outer, he looked outwardly unattractive, and the rabbi's commenting on that, and he says, why are you complaining to me? I didn't make myself, God made me. Vahainu. Meaning, but the idea is, and Chassidus explains, it wasn't obviously, he wasn't talking about outer beauty, but inner beauty. This person was a low person, did a lot of things that were inappropriate. That when the rabbi saw him, he saw a person full of emptiness, full of sin. So he said, you know what? Do you have any issues? Go talk to my Creator. Because I am a creation of God, the Master, the expert who made me. No matter what kind of disgust you're going to find in me. That the Talmudic rabbi couldn't even be in his presence. Any nechsh of the kir, you can't complain. It's not considered disgust. Why? Because at the end of the day, I'm a creation of God. And this brings out the love that you have to have for all creations. And that was Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen, even though there were people that the only positive thing you could say about them is that they were brios, they're creations of Hashem. Nevertheless, Aaron loved them. So that's Aaron. Aaron's idea is to give love. He's the shepherd of love. And that's why he lights the menorah, which 2 times light, or is v'ahavta's love. So Rebbe continues, a pratis yosef, to get to more detail. This is a very, by the way, it could be, I think we've learned this mimer in the earlier years. When I say earlier years, definitely in Seattle, maybe in the early years of COVID. But this is one of the most powerful farbrengens of Chanukah that I'm connected to. So the Rebbe says like this: we find there's 2 masters of love in Jewish history. Avram is the master of love, like it says, Avram Oyavai, Avram who loves me. He's chesed love. It's not everything about Avram and the fathers is not personal. He gives love to the Jewish people. As Chassidus teaches us, the power of the love that is given to us by Avram. It's Yerusha. Tanya talks about the Yerusha, the inheritance that we have of love comes from Avram. When Chassidus explains, what does it mean Avram loves me? That Avram doesn't just love me, but he gives love, natural love to every single Jewish person. Nevertheless, it's not only that Avram is the one that gives love, but and he's one of the 7 shepherds, and Aaron is one of the 7 shepherds. But Aaron is also the shepherd of love. Not only does Aaron also give love, there's a uniqueness to the love that Aaron has, the high priest, versus the love that our father Avram has. The Rebbe continues. The Rebbe says, what is the difference between the love of Avraham and the love of Aaron? Avram has a limited love. Where do we see this? The verse that talks about Avram says, as understood from what it says, but Avram, with regard to Avram, he's traveled south. So it's just technically Avram came into Eretz Yisrael, Lech Lecha, and he travels into Eretz Yisrael, he travels south. The Tzadarim, to the south. The south is where there's heat. Heat is love. Umadrega zu, he avad Avram, that is Avram's love. He's traveling to the love. But he's going to, he travels, it's a limited space. He's getting there, he's reaching there. It's a defined location. Masha'inkin avad Aaron, so Avram is a limited love. Whereas the love of Aaron, he ava bilti mukbelas, this is a limitless love. Shenimshach b'chol makom, it's not just in the south. Avram has to go to the south to find the love. Aaron's love is everywhere. Ka'amar oyev es abris, he loves everyone, even someone whose only quality we could define this person is that he's a brios, that he's a creation of God. That person has not acquired any other qualities in their life. And because Aaron's love is a limitless love in every place, it's not just found in the south. Moving is understood. So if it's limitless, we have to say it's the highest effective love. And what does it mean, effective love? It doesn't just stay in a status of rotzai, of yearning and kiloi, and a way a person wants to have lose themselves to God. Because what happens is when someone loves God without any bottom line, without any shuv, without any return, this is one of the principles of Chassidus, is you just loving God. What are you doing about that love? How are you grounding that love? So if Aaron's love is limitless, it has to be also a complete love. Because everything in this world is about bringing it into this world, we're not supposed to leave the world. We have to take the love and bring it down to the world. Now the famous story. We're just coming from Yitzchak Kislev. When the Alter Rebbe came was imprisoned when the Alter Rebbe was imprisoned for his writing the Tanya and for the teachings of Chassidus. So it said that he got such a love for Hashem, he almost passed away with consuming love for Hashem. And when the minister or the king came in and said to him, what's it mean, Ayeka, where are you? And he realized Ayeka means, what have you done in this world? So brought Shuv, brought the Alter Rebbe back, because the idea is Lamata, you have to be in this world. Although love ignites within the person a yearning towards God and to leave this space. Kiloin is a way of Kilois HaNefesh, to leave, a leaving of the a losing of the soul, a consuming of the soul into the greater flame of God. But Aaron, because it's limitless, it's complete, and therefore it knows what it has to do with that love, and it's everywhere and also complete, and therefore knows it has to come back down to this world. Like a person who's thirsty. Although when a person is very thirsty, you have such a thirst towards something. But the idea is that you should be able to quench the thirst and drink something. That's the idea of bringing it down. And the Rebbe says even on a higher level, he quotes, I think it's the Zohar, that says, it's like a Zohar Chadash. He says it's like a son, Kivra means a son, that tries, a shtadel. He has efforts for his father and his mother, that he has compassion more than himself. It's more about how he could serve his parents than how he could serve himself. When a person has love for God and knows how to bring that love down to the world, that's serving God. When your love for God takes you out of this world, that's for you, that's about you. What does it mean when you're totally dedicated to your father and your mother? That you're not thinking about yourself. It's not about your benefit in this experience of this relationship. What is considered a chassid? A person who's a chassid with his creator. Asking themselves, what does God want me to do? God wants me to unify kuchabrichu, the levels of godliness that's beyond the world, with the Shechina, which is the level of God that creates the world, in tachtoinim, in this world. To actualize God's desire of having a dwelling place in this world. How does a person actualize? What is the purpose? What is the seeking of this love that Aaron HaKohen gives us? This limitless love, this 2 times light, is Amshach Lamatis, to bring it down into this world. In Kabbalistic terms, Aaron is the shepherd, is the one who accompanies the bride. You know, when you have a chassan and kala, a bride and a groom get married, there's the family, there's the one who accompanies the groom, one who accompanies the bride. Moshe accompanies God, and Aaron accompanies the bride, the Jewish people, to bring them the avoda, what they have to do here in this world. The Afshin Yoni Lahalis of Matronusa, even though, yes, he's elevating the bride to the groom. What is the intention? What is, so to say, what's in for the bride to be elevated to the groom? To bring things into this world. That's why the woman gives birth. The Rebbe says, this idea is explained in the teaching of the Tzemach Tzedek. This is what the Maimer says. Now the Rebbe is going to quote a Maimer, the Hasidic discourse of the Tzemach Tzedek. The Rebbe said he didn't want to say the Maimer inside, so he's to make it easier for people that they don't have to stand. So the Rebbe didn't say it in a way of mimer, he just said it in a way of a sicha. The Rebbe said that we're going to say a little bit, we're going to learn a little bit of this, and I want to skip to the second part of this Farbrengen. The Rebbe says, Daber al Aaron, the mimer says, speak to Aaron, Ramarte, love, and say to him, he's quoting the verse in the beginning of the Bahalos, when Aaron lights the candles. So now we just describe that Aaron is the shepherd of love, a limitless love, a complete love that's not just about me, that my feeling of love, but how I bring the love down to this world. So the pasuk says, when Aaron lights the candles, lahavin kofel aloshen daber v'marta. Why does it say daber al Aaron, speak to Aaron, v'marta, love and say to him? Why does it say daber and v'marta, two types of speech? Lahavin beer, two expressions of speech. So the Rebbe says, lahavin advar malol, to understand this, the Rebbe is quoting the Tzemach Tzedek that says, yesh lahagdim, we have to first explain v'chinas emidas Aaron shehu v'chinas avarava. We have to explain that what we just said before, that Aaron, the high priest, is the attribute of great love. He's the shepherd of great love. V'dua sheish beis b'chinas madregas ava. There's two types of ava. Now the Rebbe is now quoting the Tzemach Tzedek, who's going to repeat what we just said about the difference between the love of Avraham and the love of Aaron. Who madregas Avram? The first love is the love of Avram. Shnemer boy, like it says, Avram oyhavai, Avram, the one who loves me. Lashon poyel, not just that he loves me, but he causes love. He avos simon bottom. He gives signs to the children that the children should also love God. That every Jew gets love from God, from Avram, love to God from Avram. That's one type of love. Abeis, it's all again quoting the Tzemach Tzedek. And the second type of love, who bechinas madregas Aaron, is the love of Aaron. Shu bechinas avarabba, that's not is a great love. V'gamkein shehimshich avarabba zois l'chol neshamis Yisrael. That's not a private love of Aaron, but Aaron, as being one of the seven shepherds, he gives this love to every Jewish person. And what is the difference between the love of Avraham and the love of Aaron? So he says, Avram. Again, this is exactly, he's repeating what we just said before, because now he's quoting the source of it. It says, by Avram, he traveled south. Now we could say, what does it mean that Aaron, the high priest, he gives the great love, Aaron, who bechinas kohen gadol. What is Aaron? Aaron's avodah is to be the high priest. Shehu bechinas v'rav chesed. A kohen is isha chesed. And the high priest, Gadol, is Rav Chesed, an abundance of kindness. The Is Chesed, there's two types of kindness. Is Chesed v'Is Chesed. There's kindness and then there's kindness. Is Chesed Olam, there's kindness, what the world defined as kind. Right? Today, all narratives have been corrupted. So there's Chesed Olam, Chesed of the world, like it says, and it's not only that, there's Chesed, how God created the world. Ki amarti, I ordered and I said, Olam Chesed Yibana, the world should be created with Chesed. Is Chesed Yu Rav Chesed. And there's a Chesed from God that's above the Chesed of the world, which is an abundance of Chesed, the Atzmus or in Seif Mamish, from the essence of God. And Aaron brings the great love, the Rav Chesed, down into this world. The Hainusha Aaron Hayesheshvina, the Martinusa, Bechinas Halos, the Shamis Yisrael, because Aaron accompanies the bride, he elevates their souls, which that's what pasuk means. When you bring up aliyah, when you elevate the candles is referring to the souls of the Jewish people. And what is? How do you define? I was thinking about this on the way to the mikveh today. How do you define love for God? Is a thirst for God. Just like a person has a thirst for water to quench their thirst, so too you have literally a thirst for God. The Hainu Hatzimoin, and what does the thirst mean? But like we said before, it's not just that you have a thirst of God for God, but you have a thirst to bring God down to this world as He is above. Like it says, then that day God is, and His name will be one. That there should be, everything should be the same. God should be the same in this world and in the world above. Yes, Aaron.
You said there were signs. What were the signs?
Say that again.
You said there's signs of love or something like that.
A sign of love is thirst.
So
thirst for God.
Okay.
Shiam shachas v'izgadlus ara atzmis. And what do you want? How do you actualize this thirst for God? to bring down the essence of God in this world. That God, the oneness of God, the essence of God should be revealed in space and time. Now, he asked the question, why does it say Vayidaber Daber al Aaron Vamarta? So now he's going to explain the difference between the word Vayomer and the word Vayidaber. Now he says, V'hine b'matan Torah, when it comes with regard to when the time of the giving of the Torah on Har Sinai, it says Vayidaber likim lemar, that God said, saying. The chura lemar is user. All the commentaries ask, so, but what does it mean lemar to say? The reason why in Torah it says lemar is if there's a private message or message that has to be given over to the generations. So we're telling you to tell it for all the generations, but we know the tradition by Jews is that every single soul, even the souls of converts, were at Har Sinai. There was no one who ever lived or ever will live that wasn't at Mount Sinai. So who are you telling it to? Everyone was there. So Visa b'shem Rav Miketz-Zos, so the holy Magid, the teacher, the Alter Rebbe, the student of the Baal Shem Tov said, "Shezeh shayidei haTorah haya yichud v'chibar dasaras hadibros v'saras mamaris." We know there's two types of speeches. There's the speech of the utterance of the 10 utterances of creation, which is called the 10 sayings, and there's the saras hadibros, the utterances of the 10 commandments. So the idea of Vaidaber Elokim Lemar is to combine the utterances of Torah with the utterances of creation, that we permeate creation with Torah. That's the same idea of why it says, tell Aaron and speak to Aaron and tell him. Because Aaron has to bring the highest levels of love by Daber into Viamarta. The Seres HaDibra is the 10 commandments into the 10 utterances. We have to combine the utterances of creation, and the utterances of creation with it include all the concealments. The reason why there's concealments in creation is because the way God uttered the utterances of creation, that there should be concealment. And our job is to permeate and to affect, to bring the commandments, which is the word of God as it is above, below into this world. So we affect and we change the utterances to be godly utterances as we receive them. But Pratis Yosef, the Rebbe says in more detail, this is the teaching of the Maggid. Now, the Rebbe says, Matan Torah, Nemar, Vaydar Elikim is called Dvarim Eil Lemer. The first thing Moshe said in the beginning of the 10 Commandments is that God, Elohim, said, say, Lemar, saying, V'hiksha Mefarshim. The commentaries ask, V'kol Mokim Shabai Nemar Vaydaber Lemer, every time, like I said in the Torah, it says, speak to the Jewish people, saying, Hakavana is the reason why we say saying, that any Jew that wasn't there either physically or wasn't even born yet should be told over the messages of Torah. The commandments of Torah is for everyone of all times. Aval, the problem over here by Matan Torah is Mikivan Matan Torah and Bnei Israel. Like I said, because by the giving of Torah, all the Jewish people were there, all the souls of Jewish people, including the converts, anyone who was under the fold of Torah mitzvahs was there at the giving of Torah. V'kulam sham was advarim, and everyone heard it. Miyu hakavana b'lemer, so who are you saying to say it over to? Ve'in loimer, you can't say shakavana b'lemer hu b'shvil deris habayim. You can't say we're talking about the next generations. All the souls were there. So the holy Magid the Mizrich, the teacher of the Alter Rebbe, said that the idea of giving of the Torah is to take down the 10 commandments. The Rebbe is explaining the Torah of the Magid, to bring down the 10 utterances of the Torah, the Dibros, the commandments. Basar Mamoris is in the 10 utterances of creation. You do a Pirish al Pasuk. Like the Maggid says, the verse that says, Asara hakaf b'shekel hakodesh. 10 on the weight of holiness. The 10, what is an equal weight? The equal weight is that the 10 commandments correspond to the 10 utterances. Why are there 10 utterances of creation? Because they correspond to the 10 commandments. That's why it says, speak to Aaron, saying, the idea is to take the speech of God and bring it into the sayings of God of creation. Okay. What's this mean in our day-to-day service as Jews? So the Rebbe says, Torah the light of Torah, Asar Sadibrish, which is represented by the Ten Commandments, our job is to permeate light, bring the light of the Ten Commandments into the 10 utterances of creation. This is not unlike those who think that we have two sides of me and two sides of my interest. Torah is one thing, and the world is another thing. When I'm in the Torah world, in the Torah environment, Yehudi Torani, I'll be a Torah Jew. The Rebbe says a Torah Eid, put my yarmulke on, go to shul, have Shlivovitz wine, a piece of herring, learn a little Torah. But when I go out to the world, then the world dictates things. The world decides how things should be. In the shul, the rabbi, the Torah says how things should be. And outside, the world decides how things should be. And I live the life and the customs of the world. Ela Nidrish, that's not how a person should be. Ela Nidrish, what's demanded from a Yehudi, from a Jew, should call in yon of all their things. Even your worldly things. Should be how Torah sees things. The Rebbe says, I'm not just talking about that you shouldn't do prohibited things when you're outside of the world of Torah. It's obvious that if Torah says you shouldn't do something, don't do it. Thus, like the Rebbe quotes in Yiddish, this is what you shouldn't do. You surely shouldn't do it. So, what does it mean to permeate the Torah world in the world? It's like even the permissible. It shouldn't be according to the way the world decides things should be. Don't be like a balabas. A balabas is a person of the world. That the hanachas, their way of thinking is how your life is. And hanachas shal Torah's way of thinking. The Rebbe says, the previous Rebbe tells over. The Rebbe is telling a story he heard from his father-in-law. When he lived in the city of Rostov with his father, the Rebbe Rashab, his father's apartment was the upstairs apartment. And the previous Rebbe's apartment, he lived in the same apartment building as his father, is the downstairs apartment. Sometimes the Rebbe Rashab would come downstairs to his son's apartment. Sometimes he would verbring and make a kiddush in his son's apartment. One time at such a verbring in his son's apartment, the Rebbe Rashab said to his son, later to be the previous Rebbe, L'chaim balabas, meaning to say, because it was his son's apartment, so he said L'chaim to his son. He called him the balabas. He's the one in charge. It's his house, right? He's just verbringing in his son's house, but he recognized that it's his son's house. And the previous Rebbe was very offended by that. I mean, why? Right away, the previous Rebbe asked from his father, from his father, the Rebbe Rashab, please remove the description of balabais. I don't want to be called a balabais. A balabais is a person who has worldly thinking. A balabas is a disgusting thing. I don't want to be called a balabas. That's my father said. It means even though his father is kind of complimenting him, l'chaim balabas, is I don't want to even be called balabas. Even if he's a God-fearing Jew, he does everything he has to do. You can't say this person ever sinned. He didn't do anything that's forbidden or something that's not even pure. I don't want to be called a balabas. A balabas means that I kind of, what the Rebbe Rashab, what the previous Rebbe was saying is, a balabas is the kind of person who knows how to do godly management. I know how to manage God and the world together. He or she has a very good way how to figure out how the world is not a contradiction to God, and God is not a contradiction to the world. I could have nice things, I could have all things I want, I could be driven by worldly things, and I could also manage my relationship with God. And he didn't want to have such a description of being a person who knows how to manage God. The Rebbe says because there is a farbrengen, you have to understand this is a passionate farbrengen, and it only goes further from this. Because the Rebbe says because Chassidus hates, it's a very strong term, a person who has that kind of godly management. The Rebbe says there has to be that every Jew should say, I don't want to be a balabayas. Chassidus is not just for a few. The Alter Rebbe wanted Chassidus for every single Jew. Every Jew could say, I don't want to be a balabas. Sorry, as my father said, in the name of the Alter Rebbe, the teachings of Chassidus, is not just for a certain group of people, all the Jewish people. This is what the Chiddush of Matan Torah that says Vayidaber Lamer, that God, that's what happened in Matan Torah, giving Torah, that Vayidaber, the 10 commandments, could permeate the 10 utterances. Again, not just that you don't do things that you shouldn't be doing. You elevate the whole world to godly existence. That's what Aaron HaKohen did. Aaron took Vayidaber Hashem al Aaron, the Marte love say, when you elevate that candle, when you elevate the Jewish soul, you're elevating it to make Vayidaber and Vayomer one, to make the 10 utterances and 10 commandments one. Also when you're in the world, which is represented by the Asar Mamoris, the 10 utterances, the Lamor, Tianhaga, your behavior, your attitude, your mindset should be not as the world sees it. A balabayis, which is like a balabas, a person who's kind of managed their God and the world. You know, they really got everything under control. They figured it all out. You should have a Torah attitude. Asar Sadibris, that the 10 commandments permeates your life. With intention. Like Aaron doesn't just have a love to leave this world, but the great love of Aaron is to go down into this world. This is why the Torah says, say to Aaron, speak to Aaron and say to him. Because like we said, that Aaron is the shepherd of the candle, the shepherd of the light, the shepherd of the love. He should is not just to experience love, but to bring that love down into this world. That's why it says to bring down the 10 commandments into the 10 utterances. Okay, I'm going to skip a little bit here. Okay, hold on. Okay. The Rebbe is complaining for bringing about this theme of a Yid's avoida that has to be an avoida of Vaidaber Vaimarta. You have to take the 10 commandments and bring in the 10 utterances. The Rebbe says, we're going to skip to chapter 11. Sif 11. This idea that we have to bring down godliness to the world specifically, he quotes the verse in Tehillim, I think, that says, Tehillim 42, this is what the verse says, that my tears are like bread day and night. When I say to myself, or I've been told, a whole day, where's my God? What is the person feeling? The person feels, he and she, that they don't feel any revelation of the essence of God in this world. Means what we said until now is what we should be doing. When a person says to themselves, a whole day, where's God? Where's God the whole day? I don't see him. I'm supposed to be bringing God down to this world, but it's not happening. I'm not bringing the essence of God down to this world. Sometimes I get a little an awakening. Of godliness, of a revelation of godliness. For instance, with tefillah of Torah, when I'm studying Torah, when I'm davening, I get a little bit of a fire in me. It's only temporarily. I don't have a consistency. It's not a whole day. I'm not feeling the love. I'm not feeling the passion for God throughout the day. I'm saying to myself, or I'm being told, why don't I have God the whole day? Not that where's God a whole day? But why don't I have consistency? Why don't I find consistency in Hashem? I'm not revealing godliness down to this world consistently. When a person cries, because he's saying, these are my tears. The bitterness. because of the concealment that I'm experiencing. Behelim, or that the light is being concealed, ha'atzmus of the infinite of God. We love it, biskalas. I'm not allowing it, right? I'm part of the reason why it's not being revealed. Biskalas the mata, that's not being revealed down into this world. So why are you crying? You're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. So why are you crying? Because that's what I really want, but I can't experience it. As the crying itself, the bitterness of itself is the revelation. The very fact that you're bitter that you can't reveal godliness the whole day, that itself is a revelation. And how does a person reveal that? Through the studying of Torah. This is what it says. My tears were like bread, day and night. The Torah, that I engrave the tears into the Torah study. I study the Torah with tears to reveal godliness within me throughout the day. Like it says, go take bread as a lechem, a chaber, and that connects yoimam v'layla, the day and the night. Midas yoim, to take things that are day, umidas layla, things that are night. Midas yoim k'may shehu ba'atzilus. What does it mean, the attribute of day? The way things are in the world of atzilus, the world of absolute godliness. Umidas layla, and how things are in darkness, k'may sheba b'biyah, how godliness permeates the world of separation. Yedu v'dal haven. Okay, this is all he's quoting from the Tzemach Tzedek. Now the Rebbe explains. Pratis Yoser, what does this mean? Haiseli demasi, that my tears were lechem, were bread. Yom v'layla, night and day and night. The Rebbe says, Yehudi, a Jew sometimes, who memurmar, is very bitter, kol kach, to the extent, as I feel verbittered. The Rebbe says in Yiddish, the Jew becomes so bitter. What does it mean? Not that your tears, you eat bread with tears. Your tears become your substance. The tears become your food, become your bread. Kidu, as it's known, shmiriris, when a person feels bitterness, which bitterness is not depression. Bitterness is the bitterness of what's going on. Why don't I have the revelation? When a person is bitter, you're not hungry. And why does a person become bitter? So the Torah tells you, why do I have tears? Why am I bitter? Why is my bitterness in replacing my bread? When I say to myself, and you're being, God is saying to you, Tainim means the God is claiming and demanding from above. I know that you're spiritual when you're in shul. I know that you're spiritual every once in a while, but where's the consistency? Why aren't you feeling godliness the whole day? Elekecha pirush, what does it mean that Elekecha, my Lord? Why aren't you feeling the godliness which is your source of life? Where do you think you have the energy to take a breath? Every time you take a breath, you have to pray God. So what's koichacha v'chayuzcha? Who gives you strength? Who gives you vitality? It's godliness. Mihu Elekecha. And what is your life? Is Havaya, is God. Elekecha. Havaya limalim izmanu makam, and God is above time and space. Above the whole system of creation. And that's what your source of life is. That God is telling you, you know who you are? Do you know what you're charged to? You know what you're plugged into? You're plugged into Havaya. You're plugged into the level of God that's beyond any kind of time and space. That's koichacha v'chayuzcha. That's your life. That's your life, your vitality. What level of God are we talking about here? The Anochi of Hashem, the oneness of God. The eye of God. The level of God that's beyond any description. That's your life force. And therefore God asked the person, why aren't you plugged into that energy all day? Why aren't you feeling? The eye of God is your source of life. Why don't you feel that throughout the day? Why is it only certain times of the day? Why are you lacking consistency? This that you're feeling godly when you're learning or you're studying or you're praying or you're sitting at a fabrengen. That's not enough. That's not why you came down to the world, to go to fabrengen, to go in and to feel spiritual when you pray and when you learn. You could have went to another fabrengen, the fabrengen of the angels. You could have been a soul in heaven. God could have created that. If I bring an environment, God could have anywhere. We could have the souls as they're sitting under God's holy chair. We also could have a fabrengen. What's the reason? Shall you read this in Neshama Beguf? Why did God put your soul down into this world, into this body? He could levaris aguf and nefesh bahamis is to refine yourself, not to lose yourself, not to take breaks of life. Go to fabrengen and daven and learn, but throughout the day, you haven't done anything with yourself. The idea is levarer haguf and nefesh bahamis is to refine yourself. The soul never needed any fixing. Therefore, God demands from the person. Why throughout the day? When you eat, when you drink, when you do business, when you talk to people casually. You should also feel the godliness then. How you yourself feel when you fabring, how you yourself feel when you daven, how you yourself feel when you're davening. That's how you should feel throughout the day. The Rebbe says that's what it should be. We'll go a little further. But what's the bottom line? How are things really? As soon as a person finishes davening, he says, he quickly reads Tilm because now he or she has to run to work. Hashir Chumash quickly says a little bit of Chumash. You say a few quick lines of Tanya. You say, I love Muma. And now there's no even symbol, sign that you were ever in shul in the first place. What's most important to you is take yourself a nice breakfast. And if God forbid you're missing a little salt in your food, Ma'asev Melech, you have to quickly add salt because that's the most important thing. The Rebbe says, you just came out of shul and all of a sudden you're checking you want the best Danish. I mean, come on. And I'm talking to myself. I mean, this is the Rebbe saying you were just godly. What's all of a sudden this running to go have a sprinkled donut? No one saying anything. You make the brachas. You do everything you're supposed to do. The Rebbe says, how do you differentiate yourself between a chassid? You just learn a chassidus. What's the difference? You both are making a bracha. The Rebbe says sometimes there's no difference in you and a non-Jew. Lahavdil, God forbid. Like it says, what are you so much greater than an animal? What's an animal do? An animal does what it wants. You also do what you want. As soon as you come out of the shul, you run to go eat. You act like an animal. A navanta behema, a wild animal. You're not even like a domestic animal that has some sort of structure. You're like a desert cow. And then after you've just satisfied your taivas, you just ran around and ate yourself a good meal. Now you come with complaints. Why don't I, now you feel, why don't I daven good? Why when I study Torah, I find that I'm not always understanding the Torah properly. I'm not doing things the way they should be. I'm not coming to the conclusion the way I should come to the conclusion in the law of Torah. Why do I have so many questions in life without answers? Why don't I have clarity? And if I'm a person that's supposed to be affecting others, why don't I see I'm affecting other people? Right? So the Rebbe says you have tainus. After shul, you run to go eat yourself a full-blown breakfast with salt and everything. That's the most important thing to you. There's no sign that you daven. And then later you have tainus. Why don't you daven well? Why don't you learn well? Why don't you affect people well? Now, Neymar, he quotes the Rebbe Marash that quotes the verse that Ivlas Adam Tisalif Darkev Al Hashem Izaf Liboy. The person goes off the way and then he gets angry at God. Why isn't God opening my heart? Why are you closing your heart? Is Ivlas Adam Shemisnag Ba'ifin Kizesh Ayman Lai Kol Yamei Alikecha. You behave in a way that God asks, where's God the whole day in your life? Into Salif Darkei. And then you're angry at God. Why doesn't he inspire me? You're the one who's responsible. Zui Ivlas Adam, it's your problem. You're sending God deep away. You're sending God all the way up, and you're all the way down. When you tell God, you know what? Just go up there for a little bit. I'll come, in 15 minutes I'm going to go daven. Give me 15 minutes, God. And that takes you off the way. And then you're angry at God. Why isn't God inspiring me when I daven? The Rebbe says, Halavai, you really cared. You don't really care. You're not really complaining to God. If you really cared, you change yourself. It doesn't really bother you. You're only complaining so you could cover your bases, so to say. I also want God to know that I'm bothered, that I don't feel God. Over here the writer says, the Rebbe started to cry. Then the Rebbe stopped crying. The Rebbe was taking it very personal. This where's God a whole day? He wasn't just talking words of Musar. The Rebbe was feeling it. The Rebbe says, there's a Talmud that says, there were two people. They were bat chanim. They were people that made people laugh at a wedding. They were always jokers. They made people happy. That they all were, because they made people laugh, they had a good portion of the world to come. Because they were happy and they made other people happy. They were very successful in this world, and they had the world to come. They had everything good because they made people happy. The Rebbe said in the middle of his talk, why the Rebbe felt bad? Why is he making people feel uncomfortable and people get depressed? He's supposed to be happy. So the Rebbe stopped his talk, and the Rebbe said that he should sing a Levitin nigun. Okay, I'm just going to go a little further, one more sif, and then we'll stop. Then after the singing, everyone got a little Levitin and said l'chaim. His Rabbi got a little more relaxed. The Rebbe continued. This idea that a person has to have consistency, that where is God throughout the day? This question is even more of a question when someone is a chassid. And someone is a chassid and has a Rebbe. Behegdim, the Rebbe says, there's different types of Jews. Like it says in one of the final parshas, God, when Moshe speaks to the Jewish people, he describes all types of Jews, the heads, the wood choppers, the water carriers. There's 10 types of yichus, 10 types of special lineage. The Rebbe says, we have Jews here today. That they saw the Rebbe. They've had the opportunity to learn Chassidus of the Rebbe. Or to keep the Rebbe's commandments in like Tilim and Chitas. So that someone who's connected to Rebbe, so by them has to be even more, they have to ask themselves, where's my consistency? Where's God throughout the day? The idea of a Rebbe is not to separate, but to connect. B'nai Yisrael with the Jewish people with God. To have an undivided connect to God. That's the whole idea of a Rebbe. If you're a chassid, how is it that the Rebbe is trying to connect you to God and you have these inconsistencies in your day? God, that if you're a chassid, you should feel godliness throughout the day. The Rebbe quotes a Rambam that says, just like a wise person, you could see in their wisdom and their ideas. If a wise person doesn't behave, it doesn't eat properly, or doesn't drink properly, that's not a sign of a wise person. A wise person has to have consistency in everything that they do. The Rambam is trying to kind of enclose it in the revealed parts of Torah. Hey, Danny. And what the Rambam is really saying in a Chassidish idea, where's consistency? If you're a Chacham, behave like a Chacham throughout in everything that you do. A person has to have consistency with God in everything that you do. Chassidim Askenim, the Rebbe says, the elder Chassidim, Yashav Pam Misvadis, they're once sitting at a Fabrengen. They were talking about the idea that a person, the yesh, the I, has to nullify themselves to the nothingness of God. One one of the Hasidim after the Farbrengen was walking. Paga Schreiter, he met a policeman, a night patrol. As a Jander policeman. The Rebbe says a policeman. So the policeman meets one of the people that were at the Farbrengen, one of the Hasidim. So the policeman in Russia says, Idiot. Who's walking? In Russian, that means who's there? Dark, So what the Chassid answered, he was sitting a whole night at Farbrengen. And what were the Farbrengen about? That you have to nullify yourself. You're not something. And now the policeman says, who goes there? So he says, Bittul Idiot. Bittul is going here. Nullification walks. You want to know who's walking? A person who's nullified to God. This Chassid. He became so real with the message of the Farbrengen that you were talking about, that the Yesh has to nullify itself to the Ayin. He couldn't describe himself as anything else but self-nullification. When we're not holding that level, and throughout the day, one is lacking the feeling of that who is your source of life. That's why a person's bitter. The Rebbe says, he quotes the Friedrich Rebbe, that once upon a time there was a custom by Hasidim that when they would cry from bitterness of their matzav of the situation, they would take all the tears, they'd wash their face with the tears. Because when you wash your face with tears, it lightens up the image of God within you. And this is what the verse says, that my tears were like bread when a person cries, that the person has to feel. How you feel when you study is how you feel when you're doing everything else in life. Even the night things of your day, things that are dark of godliness. To connect the night and the day. That's why it says that the day and the night can bind themselves together. Right, everyone? This is a beautiful Farbrengen. It continues, obviously. Just want to wish everyone a happy Chanukah. Shabbos Chanukah is a big, big deal. So take in the Yomam, take in the day, take in the Laila, take the tears, wash your face. And the light of Mashiach and the light of Hashem should come and reveal itself. B'Karav. Laila Tov, everyone. Happy Chanukah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Happy